I married a convicted felon, bought us a house, and had his kids. Then my daughter told me what he'd been doing, and my whole world collapsed. Warning: this story might shock you. Listen with care. People always think rock bottom is one moment, some dramatic crash you can point to and say, that's when everything went to hell. But it doesn't usually work like that. For me, it was more like drowning in waves. One hit after another. Losing my mom in 2020, losing myself in addiction, losing a 9-year relationship, losing my grip on my daughter's custody. And then, moving in with my dad, dragging a busted heart, an empty fridge, and a head full of pills and smoke and regret. I was clean from IV drugs, sure, but barely. I was still breaking in other ways, drinking, going out, hookups, bar tabs longer than my patience. I wasn't proud, but I was surviving. And at that time, survival felt like a win. Then came Diego. One Facebook message, that's how it started. He was funny, had this wild, messy energy that made you forget your problems for a night. And that night, I forgot. I was drunk out of my mind, probably 4 rum runners in, with a side of bad decisions, when I stumbled into his place. And yeah, you get the idea. Fast forward a few weeks, and I'm late and scared. I was told it'd be nearly impossible to get pregnant again. I'm type 1 diabetic, and it took years for someone to even diagnose that right. But now here I was, barely sober, barely stable, newly single, and possibly pregnant by a guy I barely knew. A guy with a record. Scratch that. A guy with multiple felonies and a sex offender registration. Yeah, I know. I know what you're thinking. I was stupid. But when you're hormonal, lonely, and trying so hard to rebuild your life while the pieces keep slipping out from under you, you grab onto anything that looks like it might float. Tito promised he'd step up, that we'd try, that we could make it work. So we got a house, we tried, and then I found out he was talking to his ex the entire time. The one who left him when he went to prison. He leaves me 6 months pregnant, and I'm back to drowning. But I didn't give up. I couldn't. I gave birth. Kept working, got my daughter back, moved back in with my dad, started stacking money again, focused. And then Tito comes back, with apologies, with promises, with that same damn charm that made me forget the red flags the first time. And like a fool, I let him in. We tried again, we got married, we bought a house, I got pregnant again. But what I didn't know, what would rip my world apart later, was that this man I had trusted with my home, my heart, my kids, he was hiding something so dark. I still feel sick saying it out loud. And when the truth came out, it didn't just shatter my trust. It shattered my daughter. And that's where this story really starts. By the time Diego came back, I'd built a little peace for myself. Not much, but enough to breathe. I had my daughter back. I had my dad. I was working again. The drugs were behind me. The chaos had died down just enough that I started to believe maybe things could finally go right for once. Then my dad passed. Just like that, everything tipped sideways again. We split what little he left. I ended up with about 60 cal, the only money I've ever really had in my name. I used it the way I thought any woman in my situation would. I bought us a home. Something real. Something permanent. Something my kids could grow up in, without the smell of old smoke or busted locks or screaming through the walls. Diego's name went on the deed too because I still believed he'd changed. I still thought he meant it when he said he wanted to be better. He didn't have a driver's license. I did. He didn't have money. I did. But I was still hoping, still clinging, still praying the worst of him was behind us. We called the sheriff's office 3 times just to be sure the address was okay for a registered SO. Each time, they said yes. So we packed up, moved in, just a week before Christmas 2023. And then, January 2nd, 2024, your house is 153 feet too close to a school. He can't live there. Just like that, all our plans got set on fire. They didn't care that we bought the house, that I put every cent of my inheritance into it, that we asked multiple times and were told it was fine. Diego had to move out, so we used what little money we had left to set him up somewhere else. We were barely holding it together, but I was pregnant again, and I kept telling myself, we've been through worse. We can make it. Then he got caught staying at our house again, just visiting, but that didn't matter. Arrested, thrown in jail. $275,000 bond. I sold the damn car I'd just bought with my dad's money, sold it to bail him out. Because I loved him, because I was pregnant, because I thought, this man is my husband. He's the father of my kids. I can't let him rot in jail. But it was never just jail with Diego. It was the lies, the debt, the failure of the shop, the way he told me everything was fine when he was borrowing money behind my back just to keep the lights on. I was serving tables at bar, coming home with blistered feet and fake smiles, trying to cover bills he said he had handled. Meanwhile, he was watching the kids. Or so I thought. March 2025, probation ends. He says he found a lawyer, says he can come back home for good, says he wants to marry me again, legally this time, a fresh start, a real one, and I believed him. God help me. I believed him. I had no idea what was really happening right under my nose. I had no idea what my daughter had been hiding. We got married on St. Patrick's Day. Cute, right? We even joked that we'd need all the luck in the world. Turns out we did. The first month wasn't perfect, but nothing ever was with Diego. He wasn't working a real job, just doing odd mechanic work here and there, watching the kids while I worked, telling me he was getting us back on track. And I believed him, like I always did. I was pregnant again. We had a home. A hard year was finally behind us. And then my daughter came to me. She walked into the room one afternoon with this look on her face, one I'd never seen before. Not anger, not fear, just emptiness. Like her soul had packed up and left, and only her body had walked in. She said, "Mom, I need to tell you something." And right then I knew. I knew whatever she was about to say was going to burn the rest of my world to the ground. She told me that Diego had been touching her for months, that she'd been sending him pictures, that he had sent her money in return, that a week earlier he had raped her on the couch, the same couch I nursed our baby on, the same couch I passed out on after long shifts, thinking he was keeping the house together while I broke myself to keep us afloat. She cried. I cried. We shook. We screamed. We broke apart together. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to die. I wanted to kill him. Because the worst part? I had asked her before. I had asked. When one of his friends came to me weeks earlier saying something seemed off, I confronted her. She looked me straight in the eye and said, "Ew, no, that's disgusting. He's like a dad to me." I believed her. She was scared. Of course she was scared. I know that now. But in that moment, I was just a mom falling through the floor. Diego ran, cowered, 42 days, no calls, no text, no sign of him. He left me with 3 kids, a mortgage I can barely pay. A 12-month-old baby who can't even tell me if something happened to her too. And worst of all, he left me with a daughter whose trust he destroyed. The system says she can't come home until he's found, because of course now she's the one in limbo, not him. Her, the victim. So my baby is somewhere else, and I'm in this house, haunted by every lie I believed, every time I chose him over my gut, and I hate myself for it. But I'm not quitting. I can't. Because my kids still need me, because she needs me to be stronger now than I've ever been. And I will be. It's a weird thing. The moment your priorities shift from trying to be okay to trying not to lose everything. After Diego ran, everything stopped. The money, gone. Childcare, needed. My daughter, pulled from the house for her own safety, even though he was the one who violated it. And me? I was trying to manage a mortgage, feed 2 babies, process rape, grieve a fake marriage, and work night shifts with swollen ankles and barely enough strength to stand. I was still bleeding from the pregnancy I had to terminate because, I was pregnant again. And I had to make a decision no woman should ever have to make. Not because I wanted to. Because I couldn't bring another innocent life into this mess. No more dad. No more backup. No more partner. Just me. Just mom. And I had to do something. So I started asking questions. How do people make money fast? What can I do that won't take me away from my babies? What can I do that won't get me locked up or get my kids taken away? And the answer, whether people want to hear it or not, was OnlyFans. Look, I know what some people think. I see the way they look at women like me, moms especially, who turn to that site. But they weren't with me in the kitchen when I looked at the empty fridge and thought, I don't get paid until Friday. They weren't in the room when I had to choose between gas or diapers. They weren't there when my daughter whispered what Diego did, and I knew I'd never trust a man around my babies again. I didn't start UF to get rich. I started it to survive. I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't, honestly. I barely knew how to post a picture that wasn't just a selfie for Facebook. I didn't know what kind of content would even sell. I'm not a model. I'm not an influencer. I'm a waitress, a mom, a woman who's been through hell and still has ash in her lungs. But I'm also a fighter. I'm learning, asking questions, reading forums, watching other creators, trying everything I can to pull just enough money together to stay in this house, to pay the mortgage Tito left me with, to afford childcare now that my 15-year-old daughter, his victim, can't be here to help. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not ashamed of myself. Because I've done a lot of shit in my life. I've stuck needles in my veins, I've dated losers, I've believed lies, I've begged for love that didn't want me. But now I'm doing this for me. For my kids, for my future. I'm tired of surviving by accident. It's time I survive on purpose. Sometimes I stand in the kitchen, bare feet on the cold tile, baby crying in the background, a bill clutched in one hand and my phone in the other, and I just breathe. I don't cry anymore. Not because I'm numb, but because I've cried enough to fill oceans. And crying never kept the lights on. You know what does? Me. Every single day I get up and carry the weight of a world that damn near crushed me, and I keep going. Not because I want to prove anything to anybody, but because I have no choice. Diego is still gone. 42 days, then 50, then more. No word, no apology, no payments. Just radio silence while I'm left with the wreckage of what he did, not just to me, but to my child. Our child. His daughter may never fully recover, and I may never forgive myself for letting him in. But I'll be damned if that man ruins me any more than he already has. I've taken everything he left, his lies, his damage, his debt, and I've started building something out of it. Something that looks like freedom, even if it's messy, even if it's scary. Even if it comes with judgment and side eyes and people who will never understand why a woman like me made the choices I did. They don't know. They don't know what it's like to survive childhood trauma, addiction, miscarriage, grief, abuse, betrayal, and still kiss your babies goodnight and pack their lunches in the morning like the world hasn't chewed you up and spit you out. They don't know what it's like to scroll your own GoFundMe and see nothing. No donations, no help, just silence. While you sit in a house that's eating you alive with bills you can't cover and memories you can't erase. But here's the thing. I'm still here. Still sober. Still standing. Still showing up. Still choosing love for my kids even when I've been shown every version of what love shouldn't look like. And yeah, I've started an OnlyFans. Yeah, I'm hustling in ways I never thought I would. But everything I do is for them. Every decision. Every post. Every night I spend figuring out how to survive another month without going under. I do it all so they never have to wonder if someone's got their back. Because I do. I always will. This isn't the life I pictured. Hell, this isn't even Plan Z, but it's mine now, and I'll fight tooth and nail to make something out of it. Something that looks like stability, like healing, like peace. Burned? Yeah, but not broken, not even close. No one really talks about what happens after the storm. Everyone loves a comeback story, the part where the girl rises from the ashes and rebuilds her life, maybe opens a business or gets famous on social media and posts inspirational quotes in cursive font. That's not me. I'm not in the part where things are magical now. I'm in the part where the house is still a little too quiet at night, where I double-check the doors, where I wake up in panic when my daughter isn't in the next room, even though I know she's not here, not until he's found. Not until this mess is officially over in the system's eyes. I hate that she has to stay away for her safety when the threat ran away like a coward. I still serve tables. I still fold laundry at midnight. I still stare at bills I can't cover. I still clip coupons and check the fridge too many times in a day. But I'm here. I check on my baby at 3 a.m. just to watch her chest rise and fall. I text my daughter and tell her how proud I am of her every damn day. I shoot content for OF when I can, and I don't feel dirty about it. I feel resourceful. I don't have a team. I don't have management. I don't have a financial safety net. But I've got something more powerful than all that. I've got fight. Not the flashy, dramatic kind. The kind where you keep showing up even when you're exhausted. Where you keep loving your kids even when your heart is shattered. Where you keep trying to build a life, even when all you've got is broken bricks and duct tape. I'm not fixed. But I'm healing, And healing doesn't always look like yoga and journaling. Sometimes it looks like ugly crying on the kitchen floor or blocking a number you used to memorize. Sometimes it's just choosing not to go back. Not to him, not to that version of me who didn't know what she deserved. I do now. And yeah, the future still scares me, but it also excites me in a way I haven't felt in years. Because this time, I'm building something that doesn't rely on a man's promises. This time, I'm putting my energy where it belongs, into my children, my peace, myself. Yeah, it was a hard story. Tell us in the comments, what would you do in her situation and what you don't? We read every comment. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a new episode. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next video.